He said, I have visited the 1 and the 2 wards in the course of this campaign, and I have discovered that there are no roads. For me, nothing can be more accurate. That the governor did not discover there are no roads across the 1 and the 2 wards until he went for his re-election campaign. So what was he doing for all of 4 years? He thought that where he didn't construct a road, that the road would be constructed by magic. He also said, he also discovered that there are no lights. So if there was no election, he would know that 80 or 90% of Edo people are in the dark. It shows the degree of neglect and indeed of contempt for our people. On Saturday is not the day to lament, it's the day to make the bold decision that we have to effect a change. Like I mentioned repeatedly in all of the rallies that I attended, I try to remind the people, and this is the fact, that the beauty of democracy is that the ordinary man and woman, the poor, the rich, the educated, the illiterate, they are the landlords. They own the land. The governor and those in government are the tenants. And the power of the landlord to evict a tenant remains with the landlord. I was once a tenant at Osadebe Avenue. I did the 4-year tenancy agreement, and I asked for renewal on the basis of my records. Now, what are the records of this governor to merit him seeking renewal of his mandate? Is it the fact that, as he confessed, he found that across the 1 and the 2 wards that most rural communities are not accessible? Is that the reason to take him back? Or that Edo is in the dark? Of course, we talk about MOU, and they generate D3 figures to mislead the unsuspecting public. But in any case, if in truth there is no light, how many of our countrymen and women are able to watch those things? But I want to remind the Edo people that industrialization does not have to put a drain on government treasury. While I was here as your steward, I called the location of Azura power plant. And I'm proud that that project was completed. It wasn't an excuse not to build Airport Road. While I was here, the glass factory was established. All the glasses we use in our secondary schools, our primary schools, in the casement windows, are made in Benin. While I was here, we set up the Chinese steel company. We set up the ceramic factory. They are running currently at no cost to government. All that we needed to invest, we invested, namely, provide the land, create access road, and provide security for both expatriates and local staff to be able to work, with a level of confidence. As governor, I insisted that Okula Cement must return to production, and that whoever purchased it, and the ownership having changed several times, must be ready to make fresh investment in order to bring that factory back to life. By the end of my tenure, Bua Cement has been in production, creating real jobs, real sustainable, well-paid jobs, not only for those working there, but also for drivers. Toward the end of my tenure, Dangote also established and is currently constructing a cement factory. But all of this was at no cost to government. All that is required of government is to create the enabling environment. That is what government means when we talk about the government as an enabler, creating an enabling environment for private sector investors to invest. We can't use those rhetorics to explain away why our people are in the dark, or why we have no light, why the roads are not built, why erosion control is has been abandoned, etc., etc. So I ask you, all the issues, there have been attempts to divert away issues of development to focusing on my person. That is why I find it necessary to have to make this broadcast today. The issue before the Edo electorate is, did anybody stop Obaseki, Governor Obaseki that is, from doing any of the things that will improve on the quality of life of our people? I do remember very well Professor Agbolaho, a renowned professor. I contracted him along with 5 other professors of education from University of Benin to conduct interview to select teachers on merit when we discovered that the process of employment of teachers was being compromised either through political patronage or through corrupt practices. I even declined to use Abu Salih University because I wasn't sure that there would be no influences brought to bear either on the vice chancellor or other university lecturers who might be seeking favor one way or the other. Because University of Benin is not under the control of Edo State government. And by the time I left office, part of the document I handed over to Governor Obaseki was a carefully selected number of teachers who wrote the exam through the model system, and we have about 30,000 of them ready for the governor to employ to ensure that those who are in our schools are trained and qualified teachers. Today, I believe that list is there, but no teacher has been employed. We can go on and on and on. So when I see them using the speech I made, in which I promise in good faith and also believing that somebody who worked with me and we co-share the vision of restoring integrity to public schools, of building standard rules, and all of those things that I spoke to earlier, I had reasons to believe that he will sustain the dream. And when you play back Governor Obaseki's inaugural speech, he did agree that we have laid foundation on which he was going to build. Now, that is a great betrayal. None of those elements have been addressed under Obaseki. And that explains why today people are lamenting. Job creation is not something that is announced by the governor. It is those employed who inform their families that they've gotten new jobs. So, this being my closing remarks, closing address or appeal to the people of Edo State, I just want to say that in all the specific areas that has to do with public infrastructure, public education, public health care, reintegrating the rural economy to the urban economy, empowering market women. When Agbado Market was burnt or got burnt, whether it was sabotaged, whatever it was, I promised and I effected that promise of rebuilding Agbado Market and supporting the women. There was no disaster. I empowered the market women with 100 million naira because I know when women have small cash, no one knows better how to manage more money for micro businesses than the Edo woman. It wasn't tied to any particular incidents of fire or no fire. I'm sure you share the grief of those market women at the Ekusa Market, of those traders at Uwelu Market, Spear Part Market, and some other places who had suffered untold hardship as a result of fire incident and who had looked forward to a governor to fulfill his promise, not only to rebuild the market, but to give them credit to kickstart their businesses. It's all about big, hard-sounding words and stuff like that. So, at this time and at this moment, we need to take the decision to advise the governor to leave by voting him out and bringing in Pastor Osagi Ize-Yamu and Malam Gani Audu as deputy governor, so that together they can bring in fresh air into the governance of our state, restore peace, rebuild unity across the 3 senatorial districts, do away with primordial settlement, and refocus the people and the state on a common mission of restoring the dignity of this state so that even our traditional rulers, our paramount royal father, the Oba of Benin, need not worry about the state of its security or threat of violence that has characterized the affairs of the state over the past few months. I trust that God, in His infinite mercy, will guide you aright as you vote wisely for a change of government. Vote for Pastor Izeyamu as governor and Honorable Malam Gani Audu as deputy governor, so that together we can kickstart the wheel of progress and of development of our great state. Thank you so much, and may God bless you as you go out to vote on Saturday peacefully, without fear of violence, and there will be no violence. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. I don't know now, Mayaki, there are places I think you need to audit out to breach idle time. Maybe I could have just used work. Yeah, so deal with all of that, and then let me know how many minutes. How many minutes? So. Oh! Don't talk anymore. Where's your phone? Huh? Where's that phone? You're not lucky when I dash it to somebody. Yes. We're good to go? Yes. Good to go, sir. You must have been slapping people in your life. I see you enjoy it, Bam. Now, talking about building on the legacy, I think for me, the most key important one is the issue of education, restoring integrity to public schools. Because Edo people would forget in a hurry that virtually all the public schools in Edo, whether they were primary schools or secondary schools, they were all completely run down. To the extent that when it is raining, our children are running from one corner of the classroom to the other. Teachers will carry their plastic chairs from their homes to school. We saw children sitting on the floor, some on broken bricks. And we decided that we will not only build new schools, we will build new standard schools, which became known as the Red Roof Revolution. Of course, there is hardly any village in this great state where you don't have a primary school, and in many cases, both primary school and secondary school. Governor Obaseki has drawn on UBEC funds because the cost of building primary schools are subsidized by federal government to the tune of 50%. And rather than build new schools, Governor Obaseki was doing makeshift repainting or the decoration of few schools. And so, even in the heart of Benin City and across the 192 wards, we have schools today that nobody can afford to send a child to those schools. So the promise to continue to build new schools was betrayed by Obaseki. The promise to build health centers across the state was betrayed by Obaseki. I watched his interview, the debate, where he alleged that I borrowed money, quote, recklessly. What is the truth? The truth is, Obaseki advised me then that it was better to take a 7-year bond because the interest rate was much lower than the commercial rates in banks. And we took a bond of 25 billion naira. But it was structured over a period of several years. And this was liquidated in full by December 2016. And I left office in November 2016. Number two, the World Bank facility that was approved to support our budget, I only collected 2 tranches were due to Edo State government before I left. And this was announced transparently. Governor Obaseki collected the remaining, the 3rd tranche of $75 million after the devaluation of the Naira. And all of that accrued to his tenure, in addition to the several loans he has contracted. Number two, Edo State on record, and this can be verified by DMO. The bank loan we had before I left office, which the government decided to convert to federal government bonds, Edo was the least. So if, as I read, Edo State is now indebted to the tune of 190 billion, a lot of that, more than 2/3 of that, was borrowed under Obaseki. But perhaps the issue is not the fact of the borrowing. The issue is what is on ground that he has used the borrowed money to do. I was happy that he admitted to collecting $5 billion. We believe it's $5.6 billion. He admitted collecting $5 billion for agriculture. How many Edo men and women benefited from that 5 billion naira, which was meant to support farmers in our state, and which Obaseki borrowed on behalf and in the name of Edo farmers? You pause. Let me remember this. On record, Governor Obaseki said when he was asked about the 2 billion he borrowed from CBN for Sobe Farm, he said he could have spent up to 2 billion for about 400 hectares of land. But the question is, if it wasn't 2 billion, what stopped Governor Obaseki from disclosing the actual amount and what he did with the rest of the money? Because the fact that he took 2 billion from CBN is not in dispute. Now, if, as he said during the debate, he didn't spend all of that on Sobe Farm, what did he do with the balance? The second is the huge sums, 69 billion for oil palm. Who are the beneficiaries of this loan, which is contracted in the name of Edo State government? As I said, it is not the fact of the borrowing alone. That itself is a problem. But when you borrow to channel through consultancies and all manners of vehicles, which in the end, the people can't find anything on ground, then the issue of our children and grandchildren coming to pay loan that we use for purposes that we can't verify, then become an issue. And at a point, the state is headed towards total liquidation. I think for this and several other reasons, number two, I was shocked that Obaseki is advertising the schools I built as governor. Is using them is advertising them as if he built them. In the course of the campaign, some local community people told me that I think somewhere in Edo North, where Obaseki came at night to commission a project that a government secondary school, federal government secondary school, that is being built by federal government, not yet commissioned, not yet completed. He went at night to commission it. So everything and a lot of the transactions that has occurred under Obaseki are such that Edo State people haven't gotten value for money. I have no doubt whatsoever in my mind that a governor that recruits over 200,000 SEs, SSEs, 1.5 months to the end of his tenure, panically now giving appointment letters, that cannot be a governor we can trust. A governor who says he has created 157,000 jobs. Those figures are not adding up. In another publication, he said it's 157,000. It is not beyond the competence of government to say, in agriculture, these are the number of jobs, and these are the location. And if you imagine that Edo has 18 local government areas, and you've created 157,000 jobs, then obviously every local government ought to have young people of about 8,000 now in gainful employment. That is precisely how not to lie with statistics. So I want our people, as we have said, and it bears repeating, don't believe it if you haven't seen it. That is why we talk about I mark. This is the moment for I mark. If you have not marked it, don't trust it. We want a government that will return us to what we can see, not find papers prepared by all kinds of consultants who carry away incredible amount of money in the name of consultancy. Thank you very much. Please. I have watched a couple of times, to my surprise, the PDP and Obaseki try to divert attention away from the issues. They are not addressing Pastor Sagi Ize-Iyamu. They are not questioning his competence, nor are they questioning his suitability. They are arguing that the election is between Obaseki and myself. But I'm not on the ballot, and I can never be on the governorship ballot again for the rest of my life. But if they insist that the election is between Obaseki and myself, then I want the people to compare Obaseki's record in office with my record while I was in office. And if they do, as I believe they can do and they will do objectively, Obaseki still does not deserve re-election because he has nothing to show for his first time. When I see the importation of governors who have their own history of local, I take this again. When I see a governor who has issues in Anambra between himself and his predecessor, also talking of godfatherism, I'm like, do these people know what we mean? I'm happy that as much as Obaseki has tried to destroy my legacy through negative propaganda and outright falsehood, using social media and using his hired writers, the truth is, what Edo people have seen that I did, they cannot wash it away. They can't wash it away. And I want Edo people to ask themselves, let them play back both the opening, the flag off of PDP campaign, and their closing so-called mega rally campaign, and ask themselves, what special message did they give the people? They simply say, vote against godfatherism. They never say, and I never heard them say, oh, vote because in the first term, Obaseki constructed this road. In the first term, Obaseki built this number of schools. In the first term, Obaseki employed this number of teachers. In the first term, Obaseki employed this number of nurses. He employed this number of doctors. He gave credit to small-scale farmers. He gave credit to small-scale traders. He gave some kind of empowerment to youths. I didn't hear any of that. All we hear is, oh, this election between me and Oshiomhole. That is just a clear diversion. But my commitment to the people of Edo State remains unshaken. I have been favored by the people of this great state when they voted for me twice in the manner that they did. And when, because I supported Obaseki, many of them also voted for him. I have a duty. I am forever indebted to the people of this great state for that rare honor that have been given. And I will never support anything that I know will work well. Obaseki was a mistake. I don't hesitate to admit it, because the promise of continuity for the good of Edo State has been betrayed. That is the great betrayer. Nothing personal, and there cannot be anything personal. It's about our state. It's about our collective future. It's about our children and great-grandchildren and children yet unborn. Thank you very much.